First of all, let me say thank you to everybody for coming this evening. Not for the purpose which has just been identified, but for a much, much more important purpose, which was to celebrate Tiyo Soga. I must first of all say thanks a lot to many, many thanks to those of among us who thought of this idea, that we should have an occasion like this when we'd remember Tiyo Soga by performing the many hymns that he wrote. Thanks a lot indeed to the people who thought of this excellent idea. And say thanks a lot to everybody here who has performed these songs. Mandisi Janches, Kutwana Masote, the choir, the orchestra, for an excellent job. Tiyo Soga was, as Glorious Robe described him, an outstanding human being. I want to say also, let me also say that I want to thank the Human Sciences Research Council. They've just given me a book. They sent me a book, very new, on Tiyo Soga, very interesting. I'm very, very glad indeed that as a country, we've decided to honor this extraordinary person. There's a lot of academic work that's going on, a lot of that's being written, a lot of that's being researched about Tiyo Soga. And that's very, very good indeed. Because he was a pioneer. This priest trained in Scotland, comes back to be a preacher, to convert us to Christianity. He had no predecessor, somebody to say, let me follow in these footsteps, this is what this person did, this is what this person didn't do, this was wrong, this was right. He was a pathfinder in many respects. I knew that Lupi was going to ask me to say something. So I did a little bit of research. I'm going to read you something about what Tiyo Soga said. No, it's not there. A 160 years ago, a British missionary was having major problems converting people to Christianity, the Africans in the Eastern Cape. He was preaching every day. It's only good to go, damn it. But the people are not coming. But the people are not coming. He decided to write an article which appeared in what was called the King Williamstown Gazette. In that article, he said that these people who are refusing to be converted to come to Jesus Christ are going to perish. As a people, they are going to perish because they are refusing to be converted. He was a pastor, a missionary. I would have thought, if I was alive at the time, that Tiyo Soga would join him, because he was a fellow pastor. both of them interested in a conversion, our conversion. But Tiyo Soga broke ranks with him. Because this man said, these black people who are refusing to be converted are going to perish. I'm saying Tiyo Soga, the priest, the pastor, broke with him. Now I'm going to read you the research I've been doing. Yeah. He responded to this article written by this missionary who said these Africans are going to perish. And he wrote, Africa was of God given to the race of Ham. I find the Negro from the days of the old Abyssinians downwards, keeping his individuality and his distinctiveness amid the wreck of empires and the revolution of ages. I find him keeping his place among the nations and keeping his home and country. I find him oppressed by nation after nation and driven from his home. I find him enslaved, exposed to the vices and the brandy of the white man. I find him in this condition for many a day in the West Indian Islands, in Northern and Southern America, and in the South American colonies of Spain and Portugal. I find him exposed to all of these disasters and yet living, multiplying, never extinct. Yea, I find him now returning unmanacled to the land of his forefathers. I was talking about Liberia. I find the Negro in his present struggle in America looking forward, though still with chains in his hands and with chains on his feet, yet looking forward to the dawn of a better day for himself and his sable brethren in Africa. Until the Negro is doomed against all history and experience, until his God-given inheritance of Africa has finally been taken from him, I shall never believe in the total extinction of his brethren along the continent, among intestine wars and revolutions, and notwithstanding external spoliation, have remained unextinct, have retained their individuality, have battled historians, baffled historians, and challenged the authors of the doom of the African race in a satisfactory explanation. I take another ground. How does the extinction of the African race tally with the glowing prediction, the sheet anchor of the Christian church, and of the expectation of the toil-worn African missionary? Ethiopia shall soon stretch her hand to God. The total extinction of the people from a large family of races to whom the promise applies shall not surely precede its fulfillment. And in this manner, I, for one, shall adhere to the declaration of the old book before I accept the theories of men that we as Africans shall go extinct. We presumably are the inheritors of this wisdom, this feeling and this passion about the Africans. This European missionary was talking about the Africans in the Eastern Cape. His fellow pastor broke with him and spoke about Africans everywhere. In the Americas, in the Caribbean, on the continent, everywhere. We are one, and we shall not perish. Thanks a lot to the orchestra. Thanks a lot to the choir. Thanks, Madis and Kotwanu. And yet, as these inheritors of the legacy of Tiyo Soga, what do we say today? Mabahambe. No. We can't say that. We can't say that and say we celebrate Tiyo Soga at the same time. Thanks a lot.